Hello! We're live, folks, back again. This is your host of Lit Literature, and we are going to talk, not Black Prism, even though that's a book we have in there, but it's the same series, the Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks, because that last book has come out, folks, and we are excited to read it. So, we are now going to talk Book 2, The Blinding Knife. You will notice some absences at the table. Mainly, you will notice that Manny and his rectum are not here today. And that's unfortunate, but they'll be back. You've got the rest of the crew here, excepting the captain, who digitally may or may not be here. His head might show up in the episode. We'll find out. But we've got the regular crew here, starting with...
The Cherry.
The Cherry. Go ahead around.
Brett, the director.
Yeah.
Yep. Ben the Hitman.
Okay, so, and, just... me. So
I don't know why, but that seems like it went quicker than usual.
We're probably doing less shenanigans. All right, so you've gotten through part 1 and 2 of our episodes in the Black Prism, and we wanted to and promised you we would talk a little bit about the end of book 1 before we jump right into book 2.
Quickly, please.
Very quickly, because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that's the one thing that sucks about not getting to it last time.
Yeah, that's not happening again.
I don't care anymore. I want to get on to this.
Yeah, I know, right? So, I mean, the crazy thing is the knife. We know that Zyman got a little pokey poke into Gavin's back or something, or his stomach, and
he almost wrecked him.
Yeah, he pretty much wrecked him.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Ta-da. All right, but we don't know if that's tied at this point to potentially the loss of Blue, which we find out he loses right at the end of the book.
And let's just get one thing straight. You guys should have read the second book all the way through before watching this, even though we're talking about the first book, because we might slip some stuff.
Yeah. And this is actually, they will, because
this is going to be the
beginning
episode to that.
Yeah. I'm not going to mess around with it too much, but what'd you guys think of the ending? Just to go your emotions.
Can we really quickly refresh what exactly the ending of the first book was?
So the ending was the battle.
It was the battle. That's right. He went up. He was about to stab it into Gavin, and Kip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so after Kip went Green Golem, ran all over the battlefield, went basically nuts, and then he also saved Iron Fist. Went back and saved Iron Fist, who then did his blue move across the water so that they could escape. But he also killed the king.
Yeah.
Which we find out they didn't want to kill the king because our good commander Dallas Corbin. I mean Danavis.
Montepas.
Yeah, General Danavis. He realized, and so did Gavin, that the Color Prince wanted King Haradul dead. And Kip
Kind of
in
incite
his
that rebellion against.
exactly. Oh man, and so I think he also wanted a martyr.
Yeah.
So that he could get all of King Haradul's people behind him instead of the king.
I think he also wanted to have somebody that's in the danger line for as long as possible.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if there's
Bring
any
a little focus, less focus on him.
Because it's going to be most dangerous in the beginning when you're kind of just starting to build up forces and stuff like that. And if things didn't go exactly according to plan, they could have squashed this much earlier.
Yeah, you got a scapegoat
and then
everything.
he's got that puppet in the way to take the fall.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what they're thinking, but the other guys are like, we'll just let them take it. They had no interest of stopping or stalling.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Until Gavin went by himself with 200 black soldiers.
Yeah. And unfortunately for their whole plan of not killing King Haradul, Kip got to him in Green Golem and was in the grips of green.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is just
Are we sure he was in the
and-
grips of green? Because now that we've read the second book, it seems he has a habit of finishing off the books by going fucking insane.
Coming to you soon.
Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Popped his head. Just popped it. That was pretty good.
Yeah, so he finally accomplished his mother's goal of telling him to get revenge.
Revenge.
Kill King Haradul.
Although he had interpreted that as being revenge on King Haradul, and at the end of the book we find out
Not quite him.
She might have meant Gavin.
Yeah.
Due to rape, potentially. Something that we know that Gavin's not really Gavin. Kip does not know that, and so Kip's confused. thinking about how this super awesome
Yeah.
guy could have raped his druggy asshole mother.
Yeah.
And, well, we'll have to find out where
that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, but there is one more thing I want to talk about because it comes up later in the second book.
Oh, good.
Is when Gavin makes a stand right at the gate.
Oh, yeah.
And he channels all the colors of the light, and he makes this huge beam, and it just destroys everything in his path.
Yep.
And then he pretty much gets knocked out, and the blackguard carries him away. And I won't say what happens because that's in the second book.
We are going to talk about it, yeah.
But I just want to bring that scene to mind so we know where it comes from. Because I think that's where that comes from.
Yes, we will definitely be talking about it. So, very cool. Also, just the sadness of that loss. Well, not loss, but that retreat, right? He did all that work to build the most invincible wall on the planet in this town.
Yeah.
Which now has it, and guess who has it? Well, the color prints and the economy have that. So
yeah, that scene whole building the yellow wall and everything was just so cool as they talked about like all that kind of like traps and stuff hidden inside of it and like being able to see like the images that would look like soldiers or scary things that like aren't really there and just kind of the stuff he built into it being like a masterpiece. Like, ended up being like one of his best works that he's ever done.
Remember when Liv walked up to it and she just see these guys getting hanged and then the spider eating him and like chopping his head off and then it like keeps rebooting and everyone's like terrified. Which actually gets into something we don't know a ton about, but we find a little bit more out in this book and hopefully more in later books, is Orange. Orange having the ability to manipulate emotion, visions, and also... some other things.
Like psyche type stuff.
Yeah, so they're like illusions. I don't know. We don't know the full extent to Orange's power.
Like at the end of the first book, we realize it's just illusions.
Right.
And then in the second book, we learn some more. That's forbidden.
Might be even a little more, which is really cool because what we've been reading about in both books so far is predominantly the Luxin that you can make mass out of, or like some kind of
physical manifestation of it.
Yeah. So,
but there's obviously, and we probably learn a little bit more, that there are some other aspects to Luxin besides that is specifically maybe with like the cards and kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, how about too, we find out as we'll talk about as we get into book 2, which we might as well start to wrap up soon on this book 1 thing, but there's more colors than we thought.
Yeah.
There's some colors that people are arguing whether they're really color or not, but they definitely have.
But they have unique properties. But there's
a
merger of two.
So, all right, cool.
But Joyce, I was gonna say, Joyce Borg's like, oh, what 11 colors can you draft? And Kip's like, what are you talking about?
11? Yeah, and we are gonna have some good discussion about the good old mirror, Jorah's Borg. So that was the end of book 1. Sorry for the brief brevity. I could use that word. But now it's time to talk about why we're here, which is book 2, The Blinding Knife. Real quick roundtable, just gut instincts of when you first read it. However long ago that may have been.
Go a bit.
I mean, I loved it. I think book 2 is somehow even better than book 1. I thought it was awesome all the way through. I really like the kind of thing that we feel as readers about like Liv kind of being on the other side, or maybe possibly Gavin and all of the people that we've gotten to know being on the wrong side. You know, you don't really know at the beginning like how that's going to play out. All of that I just think is I like the whole thing, and the ending was just absolutely insane. So I thought the book was fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah. I can agree with that. I love the book. I loved Kip's growth throughout the book. His blackguard training and becoming more confident. And at the end, he kind of lost it a little, and he gained it back. But the most confusing part to me in this book was when Kip started the blackguard training, because they threw out a bunch of names, and I was audiobooking, and so I was like, I couldn't read them. And then he met the classmates at the outsiders table, and some of them overlap. I'm like, wait, which ones are these? And I had to like go back and figure it out. But other than that, this book was a lot less confusing than the first one.
Yeah. I think we might as well just go in a circle. My opinion is awesome. Again, elevating. Every book, in my opinion, and I mentioned it before, it just epically elevates. And I know Andrew, the captain, hates when you overuse the word epic. But this book, in my opinion...
How are you two friends, then?
Because he understands my nature. We just epically expand. I'm just joking. It just expands every time in character growth, world growth. Also, we find out that Brent Weeks giving us all these secrets, but the reality is he's given the secrets early because it's this little game. Look over here.
Yeah.
Look over here. And he's just got this little things that are growing in the background that you're starting to realize that what we know is not really what we know. And it's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's awesome going back and like the first book was so much of this setup to a lot of what's going to happen. We even mentioned that, like, it feels like we're just setting this huge intricate groundwork, and then this book really starts to take advantage of the characters and how that whole setup process influenced them. So you start to get to see like these characters, you're like, oh, I get her point of view, I get his point of view, but like, oh my god, I don't know who's right and who's wrong and who I want to get behind. And it instead of kind of just throwing it in and like, oh, here's this one side and here's the other side and these are the bad guys, like setting it up that way, this kind of like the way it's all introduced, you have this whole setup, and now you're kind of in this point where you get to see everyone's decisions, so you can't fault anyone for what they're... You can still fault some people, but a lot of people you're just like, no, I totally understand their point of view.
Yeah.
I get why they're like this, but it kind of really rounds off that first half, that first intro book, and you start to get into these characters, and now you're not just like... You feel like you're in there and you're kind of like every single action you're like, oh, I wanted this or I didn't want this, but I get why you did it and I don't want you to do that, but you're going to do it anyway because I know this happened already. So it adds a lot of emotion getting into the book.
Yeah. Good call. So that's how we thought. Now we get to get into the guts. And the guts. So there's something that I love that I wish the captain was here to comment on. I'm really, really curious what he thinks or would have thought, or I'm not even sure. But the one thing that I do know is in book one, it felt like a lot of setup, but a lot of things still happened. You met a lot of characters. But now we're meeting more characters. It's like he waited to kind of give you an understanding of the world and the magic, but now we are getting the meaty characters.
Yeah.
You know, we get a new slew of blackguard recruits. We get some new characters on the color print side. We get some development on some of those characters, and we get some friendships formed. What was your initial impressions of the characters, and who might your new favorite be?
I don't think I have a new favorite. I think Gavin's still my favorite.
Nice. That's totally an okay.
Yeah. I mean, I love Kip. I think Kip's awesome, but there's just something about Gavin. And I think, I don't know, I have a feeling that because of the way it ended, that Gavin's going to get even better. I hope that he doesn't have the stuff that he's about to go through make him worse. But I'm hoping that, like, you know, if he turned out that good being in such a position of power and, like, privilege.
And raised by Andros.
I'm excited to see, like, if he becomes a better person going through some, like, tough shit, you know?
Yeah. I could see him doing a Kaladin.
Yeah.
And, like, contemplate suicide and, like,
right. Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Wait, do I smell a Brett bet coming out of that?
I mean, I'm hoping he'll come back stronger than he was before. Because he's still a great leader.
Right. Exactly.
Can't.
What do you think?
Can't draft anything.
Yeah.
What?
No.
If I wanted a Brent bet, I would have said one.
Ben was the stater.
I'm just saying, like, I thought...
I could see him contemplating suicide.
But, new favorite character? That's tough. I love Gavin. I love Iron Fist. But,
I definitely started liking Iron Fist a lot more in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had some major role, man.
Yeah.
Manny said he loved him.
Yeah.
If Manny was here, he would be gushing about Iron Fist. The whole episode.
But I also really like Kip's partner.
Yeah.
In the Iron God.
Yes.
Tia. Yeah.
I agree with that. I think Tia is one of the really strong new characters. Yeah. Especially because they add a lot of her... it's not just like this simple character, because they add a lot with the background, almost kind of being from
how she's a slave and how she was ordered to basically betray Kip and Guy.
Yeah, and how she's kind of put in these positions, and you kind of get her inner thoughts and like understanding what she's going through, but it's not you kind of like feel for her, but you're also like, oh, I don't want this, and you also kind of understand how their relationship's starting to build, and it's really I love that whole.
I really liked it, and before it happened, I thought, man, how are they gonna resolve this? But like once Kip played Guile, Andros Guile for Tia, it's like, wow, that's kind of simple remedy. Because usually it doesn't like resolve that simply.
Yeah.
And like it worked out so nicely for him. Like, oh, he's got his friend. He's gonna free her. Maybe
I love how he thought about
quick.
it for a second.
It's
Though, like, I may not be able to have sex with a girl this good looking at any point in my life, or maybe ever.
And he thought about it, and she was gonna do it. Because she's a slave. It's like,
I know.
That's what I do.
It's such a weird thing. I mean, I have to say, as someone that was once a young teenage boy filled with hormones, that takes a lot of self-control to not buy in, to really know to yourself, like, she may be saying that it's okay, but that's because she's coming at it from this position of, you know,
instead of just being like, well, she said it's
instead
okay,
of being like, well,
do
she's
it.
saying it's
No,
okay.
it must be
It's
okay.
easy to convince yourself of that sometimes, you know?
The cool thing is that Brent Weeks even does these monologues, like inside. Gavin does it. He has Kip do it. I love the contrast because on the outwards appearance versus the inwards, how they view what they're thinking and doing. But like the humanistic moment that they realize, I'm thinking that. Oh my god.
I think it would have made it would have made the chapter worse. I'm glad that he didn't do it, but as an afterthought, I wish there was like a post chapter where we could relive that chapter in her mind.
Oh yeah.
I would really like to know what her true feelings were on that. That'd be interesting because I don't feel like you really get to know them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We don't get a lot from her inside in terms of that.
Yeah.
You know.
Because there was a point where wasn't there a point where she said, "Oh yeah, we're like not allowed to fret. Oh my god, I can't say it. Fraternize." But
I've rubbed off
but then she like gives him a kiss, you know. So it's like there may even be some like attraction there, you know.
Well, that was like a bet, and she carried through.
Yeah, maybe.
Then, I mean,
maybe.
I think it's kind of
Seemed
like
an excuse,
another chapter we need from her point of view. I have no idea. Maybe.
Yeah, well, that's the world that we live in. You know, it's like, what did that really mean? I don't know.
But I also think it was coming off like a high of like.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely
doing that challenge and like being sneaky.
Right.
About it.
And I would say, I mean, I don't want to get too into this, but I would say that it would be just that if she didn't make a point of it to point out like, oh, because we're blackguards, this can't turn into anything else. But boom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There was that, and I also felt like she was saying that for the guy in first place, I can't think of his name.
Crexer.
Like, he was right there with his partner.
Yeah.
And I don't think she wanted to be, like, looked down upon for, like, fraternizing with
Oh, yeah.
partner.
Yeah, sure.
You can get expelled.
Very cool, though, characters. Crexer, the other character that's pretty badass.
Yeah.
And some of the other blackguards that are just hanging
I do
out.
have to say, an interesting thing about the characters in this is every single character that we've already met that isn't new, I can't think of any character that I've changed my opinion on. It just became stronger of the opinion that I already had. Like I like all the characters that I liked more, and I dislike all the characters I disliked more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're starting to show their colors
Right.
more, and before you were holding your reserve back a little, like,
right.
Well, Andros seems like a giant cunt.
Yeah.
Excuse my French.
Yeah.
But
and he pretty much proves to be a giant.
Bastard.
The only person, I don't remember
dick.
if this happened in this book or in the last book that I really solidified my opinion, but the only person I can say like really my opinion changed of just because I didn't know what to think of them was actual Gavin.
Okay.
Because at first I was just like, oh, this poor guy, it's his brother, he got stuck in this fucking, like, you know what I mean? Like, but now I'm like quite confident Gavin is better to be, you know, gone.
Yeah. No, you're right though. You're right. We're gonna definitely get to that. So that's kind of the new characters, but let's actually, speaking of Gavin, let's go back to Gavin a little bit.
Yeah.
And let's talk about his initial. So you know when
Which
you start,
Gavin? Gavin
the real.
Prime,
I'm sorry. Dazen. Dazen Gavin.
Dazen Gavin.
They're both now Dazed Gavin. They're so confused.
We'll call Prison Gavin real Gavin.
Okay.
And
The
the other Gavin will just be Gavin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, Gavin is with Carrie's, and they've left the boat, and he obviously knows he can't draft blue anymore. He's hiding it, and Brett brought up one of the best quotes ever, which I'm going to let him talk about. But let's talk about this little adventure with Gavin and Carrie's meeting the Seer, and how he's got to try to find a way to turn this island into a new country, essentially, before these boats get here. Some of the best blue ball descriptions on the planet. And Brent had a really awesome quote, or he brought it up when they were getting in the boat, right?
Yeah, I was just talking about how it's really funny how oh man, what was I saying exactly? I was talking about how it's really funny how Gavin lost the ability to draft blue, so he's drafting with different colors. And I thought it was funny to then see that from Karis's point of view, and how she was oh, he must have noticed how I was complaining about
the first
how you use too much blue in the and then he basically got points for paying attention to her and caring about her and listening to her when it was just him completely being unable to do it, you know.
If you remember what it was, is in the first skiff when he took Carrie's on it, he used blue as the base, and it was kind of see-through, transparent, and you could see the water, and it blended with the water, and so Carrie's got freaked out because it felt really unsettling to her, because she just felt like she was essentially floating on
the water.
Nothing. And the next time he used yellow.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, he's so
thought
thoughtful.
of me.
Yeah.
This is he's just showing off.
I was just being such an asshole.
Yeah.
He probably thought I was just would complain again or whatever.
And then the other thing that I thought was funny about that situation is, even though he didn't write it, the potential for then Gavin to be she brings up, oh, I see that you used less blue this time. And for him to be oh shit, does she know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's the two sides of the coin where they're both misinterpreting potentially the same statement.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Carrie's herself is
Speaking
a
of
unique individual. Yeah, I know. A unique individual, especially with the amount of just sexual tension that they clearly have with one another, but just
by the way,
cannot.
She is definitely a character that I love a billion times more after the end of this.
Oh, nice.
I love Karis.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
We will definitely be talking a lot about her. But
any woman that loves lovemaking as much as she loves lovemaking.
Those are some good
my
scenes.
girl.
But that love making doesn't really happen right now. Right now, the opposite of that happens. It's a lot of
tension.
Yeah. A lot of getting ready for love making.
Yeah. And it made, I thought the entire event was awesome because they're doing their job. They know they're kind of arguing a little bit, deciding, they have that tension thing going. And then the Seer just they go to Seer's island and the Seer just comes to meet them. By the way, I did love that scene where the warriors write down and they're "Are you need to come and meet the Seer, the head of the island?" Mm-hmm. And then Gavin in the split, you have his inner monologue, and he decides, no. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna be working here, and your Seer could come see me. He just immediately does the power flip, and he's thinking about how he does it, and Carrie's is what an asshole.
Yeah.
It's he's doing it for reasons. He's
6-hour walk? No.
Yeah. He's immediately going out and eradicating a secret area of the coral so the boats could get in.
Yeah.
But the Seer does eventually come, and the descriptions were amazing. And the sexual tension between Gavin and the Seer was even more than Carrie's. And the best thing was Carrie's was getting so pissed. And then getting so pissed, and then Gavin's of course I can't do it with you, but I can't do it with anyone else either, because then I'll just be all kinds of trouble.
If there's any women out there that are curious and just don't understand how men think, just pay attention to Gavin's inner monologue during some of these scenes. That's all of us.
I can't even think straight anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, it was so funny.
Just whoever is in his line of sight at that moment is just oh yeah, this is everything I've wanted.
And that's definitely.
It's if you haven't eaten in a month. It's you could look at McDonald's and just be man, look at that fine steak. It would look like just
meal.
The most expensive, delicious meal ever.
So funny.
You can definitely tell Kip's Kip's uncle.
Exactly.
They're related.
You know where Kip gets it from.
Dude, the best is he's just he's constantly I can't even think. I can't even think. Oh my god! And then after 4 months, he gets home and he's just like, "Please, somebody help me! I need to be able to think straight." But it was pretty funny. So Brent Weeks obviously pays a little bit of attention to his own inner monologues, and probably all men on the planet. And I would also say though, I liked the inner.
He's
monologue.
probably sitting there writing, and he like looks up at his wife, and he's like, "Desire overcame him."
Yeah, but, you know, it's also when writers type into that natural humanistic moments in their monologues, because I think in fantasy especially too often you have these just you're reading this monologue and they're just so knightly and holistic. I mean, not if you're reading George R. R. Martin fantasy, but if you're reading like traditional fantasy, a lot of times it's that it can be that way. Not all the time, and I don't want to take anything away from other fantasy, but like sometimes it's nice to see these characters in their own monologue humanistic, but as a reader we get a treat because we get to see their thoughts, and then we get to see how other people perceive them, which often are very conflicting.
Can be completely different. Like you get that point of view where like, oh, they're not on the same page at all.
Yeah, we'll get to this later, but like I was telling Jeff, right after I read it, just like how badly like Liv misinterpreted the whole situation.
Oh,
like how?
Well, from her point of view, though, you'd be like, that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's 100%. Like I get it.
Exactly. It makes sense when you have the information that she has.
Yeah.
You know.
It's really a bummer in that sense, but we do get the treat of now following a character going down the dark side. But there are some positives to the dark side. The dark side is not maybe really the dark side. We talked about it earlier. It's like the Chromeria may not be evil, but it's definitely messed up.
Well, it's manipulative too. It has things that they want it their way because of it keeps them in power.
You
and
can
there's
see
specific
how
things
these
that
changes, like the other groups, want to come around.
I can't think specifically of any power that specifically puts in rules that will weaken them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're always going to want to stay in power, but I think that the reason that they want to stay in power is because every single person in power thinks that they're the ones that's going to do the best with that power.
Exactly.
Now,
you know what I mean?
It's the same with the Color Prince.
Yeah.
He thinks he's right, and he's doing it,
Right.
but is he?
Yeah. I definitely don't like the Color Prince.
No, he's definitely
manipulative. I think it's the manipulative side is where you kind of like, all right, I get why. He's going to be the bad guy.
I think
he's as
I think that he
the
is taking
the white, the Chromeria.
Yeah,
I think he's doing what most revolutionaries do. And sometimes I would say that probably the majority of maybe not revolutions is the right word, but most kind of, I don't know,
I'd say
revolutionaries, most coups, probably most of them aren't for the betterment of people. I think there definitely are a lot in history that have been for the betterment of people.
Yeah.
But a lot of what revolutionaries do is they take legitimate concerns that every single person that's actually looking at it logically would agree with. Yes, that's a problem. Yes, that's a problem. Of course that's a problem. And he brings up some really, really good points. Things that even I'm like, even though I don't like them, I'm like, those are some things they should probably look to try and fix in this society.
Right.
Yeah.
But then he starts like muddling it with like some pretty messed up ideas also, kind of keeping those in the background just with his inner clique, while all of the like, oh yeah, that makes sense is out in the public. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you think about it too, it's like one of those instances where are you going to change it from within or change it like in the revolution?
Right.
Is it better good to get in there and try to change it from the ground up like Gavin might be doing, which although the problem with that, the situation you run with that is you got good people like Gavin in there who are trying to make a difference for people. But then you also have the fact that they were born and raised with certain perspectives. Like
and privileges.
How do they think about slaves? Well, it seems like pretty much nobody. Some of them are kind of like, yeah, slaves are kind of bad. Like, we do or don't, and they free them and not. But it's so much a part of their culture.
Yeah.
They don't even see it as being, you know, and they're not mistreated.
I mean, they talked about it a little later on with Gavin's mom.
Yep.
It's just like, oh, I feel bad. Like, we're all humans. Does it matter what kind of clothes we wear? And at the end of the day, she's like, she still had a dozen slaves.
Yeah. And Gavin comments on that. She still did. Now, she was good. She kind of like freed him towards the end. And, she wasn't the one master mistreating him like Tia's master. But at the same time,
at least not
the fact
chronically. Every now and then,
right? Maybe, and so like it's like one of those things, and like the color prints. Think about the Chromaria if Andros Guile was in charge of it. Then what would it be? It's like okay, so you got
the first Gavin.
I say the one thing that gives the Chromaria an edge above the color prints is that you've got more, not a democracy, but more of a democracy because you have representatives at least from different regions and different powers that are kind of competing.
Colors.
But it's really twisted.
There's that, and plus, once the Prism is no longer doing its job of balancing the colors, you see all this crazy stuff happening.
Yeah.
Like birds just flying a straight line and dying, whales just beaching themselves. We get these banes.
Yeah, that's what I was bringing up next.
Yeah. But we find out later though, because you were saying like, oh, it's kind of a democracy. Like, yeah, it's kind of a democracy, but we find out also at the end that it's kind of a democracy that he is just putting out there as a democracy, but he's already planning on how to get all of those pillars under his control.
Yeah.
He's
Gavin?
What's that?
Gavin, you talking
No,
about?
the colored prints. Because he specifically is like grooving Liv to be one of those gods.
Yep.
And he's like, and now we need to start figuring out how, now that we know they're going to be coming to power, rather than having them all fighting with each other, trying to get to power and be the god, we need to figure out which ones we can control and have them in those positions.
It's going to be the easiest way to have my point of view.
So, like, even though he's pretending he's coming off as, like, this, I'm the one that's going to give the power to the people, he's already looking at how to take that power away.
I love the lines where the color prints is like, yes, we'll do this, and I'll free you, and you have the choice. But in the background, he does everything he can to make it so that they actually don't have a choice.
Or they just don't get to make the choice.
He's like, you can't have any drafters in the city. They can't go back in, but they come with us, or they can just die in the wild.
Yeah.
And there's no food. It's ingenious, but also it's really twisted because you could tell, though, that he doesn't actually believe anything that he's doing. He's just doing it as marketing, like saying it that way, making it appear a certain way so that it keeps everything moving, but he's making sure that you don't really have a choice.
Right.
It's a dark.
Yeah.
Dark.
I think the best example of that was when they freed the mines.
Yes.
And it's like, there's a ton of slaves there, and these were like pirates and
the worst of the worst
raiders
were sent to
and
the
whatnot.
mines.
It's like, you guys can do whatever you want, but you can also join the army. But they stripped the land of everything around them.
Yeah, so they had no choice.
And
he said 10 days it took them before they were so hungry they were coming back already.
Yeah.
And so it's ingenious, but also, wow, is it dark. So
yeah.
And you said, okay, the Bane. So we could talk about the first Bane, because while Gavin is building up his new, what do they call it? What do they call the traps? The trap is the countries.
Stataraps?
Satraps. So he's building his new satrapy.
Satrapy.
Yes! Okay, I can do it. Sorry, folks. Okay, so he's building a new satrapy on Seer's Island, right? And
he goes over there to visit them.
Exactly. Well, before that, at that point, he meets the Seer. And the Seer gives him a hint that he has to kill the first Blue Bane. And so Ben, the hitman, was mentioning how suddenly birds are flying in a straight line and dying, and like everything is so organized that it's actually killing them suddenly. And we'll talk about the green when we get to the green Bane, but when we're talking about the Blue Bane, Blues, remember, love order
and
everything, straight lines, efficiency, structure.
Yeah, and then they had that blue snow on the island.
Yeah. However, before that, the Seer comes out, all in gold paint, gold body paint, and like... dressed super sexy, just because she's totally got a desire to have some fun with Gavin. But as a Seer, she also says, but if we do this, we pretty much ruin everything.
Yeah.
And so that entire scene is hilarious because it's just him, like Gavin, and he just keeps accidentally focusing on her nipples through her shirt. And then he's like, I can't even focus. And then she's just doing this, like, if we did it, it would ruin everything.
Yeah.
All teased on him.
It's like she's like testing him, but I think she has to have some, like, he's not going to do it, but she just has to make it difficult for him.
Well, no, but she even says that she wants it.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, there's this weird attraction between them.
So basically, before she meets Corbin, or Danovis.
Yeah.
Dallas Corbin.
Before she meets Danovis, she's kind of like, maybe the world could burn down.
This close,
I mean,
yeah.
what's happened?
I mean, for
What do you
that,
think, Gavin?
It was like those scenes were hilarious in my opinion because I could just see him. He's already like it's already been months. He's traveling around with Karis, who he's super attracted to.
Oh, dude,
and they
that'd be
just
the
have the worst tension ever. And then this girl who he also has a great connection to and is super gorgeous is also just all over, and he's just like, damn it. But it was awesome because they ended up veering away from the temptation and
To save the world.
to save, you know, whatever.
sacrifices
Yeah.
have to be made.
And it turns out being great for Gavin's best buddy, and also great for her, and great for Gavin too. We'll talk about that later. Well, for a little while. But anyway,
All I have to say is, Gavin is definitely a much better man than I am. If I was stuck on a boat, having not done it for that long, with a woman that I loved and have been in love with forever. Now, obviously,
who's constantly
I wouldn't do anything against her wishes. I'm not saying that I would be a villainous creature. I'm just saying that I would definitely be annoying. I'd be like, what about now?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, look, that's a baby now. No, okay.
Oh man! But he gets a hint about the blue bane. The blue snow comes, like the hitman mentioned, and he has to go find the blue bane.
Yeah.
And that's the first Bane that he kills. And later, remember, when the blackguard finds out about his previous Bane killing, they're like, you're the true Promarchus.
Yeah.
Which means that who fights before, that who fights in front of everyone else. But anyway, he kills that Bane, and that Bane was kind of twisted.
That's another moment that I really, really started loving Iron Fist even more.
Yeah, with the
was when
Blackguard.
he was like, because like they've always kind of had like almost like a little bit of a
Tension
tension
back and
between
forth.
them.
Yeah.
And when he like let all that go and was just like, I see you for who you are.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's why I thought of in the first book, because I was like, he was in direct orders of the White, and
Yeah.
that's who he followed.
Yeah.
And so, like, Gavin went off, he would kill Gavin for the White, no questions. But I was like, after seeing everything Gavin does, he's gonna totally start following him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I would not betray you, Gavin,
Yeah.
as long as I'm commander.
And he delivered one of my favorite lines in this book, which was when Gavin said to him, I'm not the man that you think I am. He's like, are you the same man that I've been following for the like last few months or whatever? And he
10
said,
years.
yes. He's like, well, then I don't think you're the man you think you are.
Yeah.
I just thought that was an
awesome.
amazing
Yeah,
line.
that was a good one.
Yeah, I definitely think Gavin is way too hard on himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm with that said, I'm gonna talk about one of our Brett bets, which we're not closing yet, but we will be closing when Manny's back.
Yeah.
I think maybe.
We'll probably
Listen.
just do an episode on it when we finish the
Oh
series.
yeah, we could do a Brett bet
Yeah.
episode. However, I'll remind us that we have a bet open on Iron Fist,
Yes.
and the bet on Iron Fist is: does Iron Fist have a secret motive? Iron Fist is there for a specific reason. It could involve Kip.
Yeah.
It was kind of an optional thing, but it's really, does Iron Fist have a secret motive, right? And right now,
It seems pretty clear no.
it seems that way to
Right?
me. Manny and Brett said yes. Ben said no.
I said
Andrew
yes.
no. You did.
Yeah,
Actually,
he
your
does have
whole
a
dialogue was amazing too, because it was like you said yes, and then Manny said yes, and then he talked about it for a while, and you're like, well, now that Manny said yes, I'm really feeling like I probably
Because
shouldn't
Manny
be voting
is
with
always
Manny.
wrong.
By the way, Manny also.
I'm surprised I said yes just because I do remember really liking Iron Fist the whole time.
Oh, you did?
Although
Yeah.
I wonder if I'm just projecting that based off of what I've learned about him in this book.
Could be. But I think you actually did say that you like him and you don't see it as like a large chance, but
Yeah, I did say yeah.
and then I'm looking at it too.
Yeah.
And then Ben said no, and then Andrew followed Ben, and so it was a tie. And we're definitely gonna wait, and we're gonna do an episode. And the best thing about this is we're gonna get to finish the whole book.
Yeah.
So
I know.
we
We'll
get
know
everything.
it, yeah.
Yeah,
The whole
so
series.
We'll know everything. Every
Yeah.
Brett bet that we're making now, we will.
If
know.
there's an answer, we'll know it.
Yeah.
And even if there's not, we've usually set them up.
We'll
enough
probably
where-
just drink anyway.
Someone's gonna
I was gonna
drink.
say,
We do have an answer to one of the Brett bets, though.
Yes, we do.
Does he get out of the prison?
Yeah, we do. So
I think that's pretty safe to say he does not.
Only one.
Well,
Did we wait to
Although
drink on the
I guarantee you, Manny's going to. If Manny said no, Andrew's the only one that said yes, right? Or
Andrew
no, right?
said no. Ben said yes.
Andrew's the only one that
said
said no, correct?
Brett said yes.
So since I said
Only
yes,
Andrew
I'm
said
going
no.
to argue that the few moments he spent in the catacombs is him getting out of the prison.
But the
and
trap
we
was
win.
set up
We win. Just kidding.
No, you can say his death freedom.
Yeah.
Is he now free?
Is he not
death?
free?
All right.
Yeah.
In
So-
death, is he free?
Because I know.
Oh, hey, yes, thank you, Ben. I'm not drinking shit.
Guys. So because we
You
had
guys
because we had this conversation without Manny here.
Yeah.
Let's have a really fun little session when we revisit the Brett bets.
Yeah.
You guys actually argue those points like you're serious.
Well, the
And
only
let's
one-
see if Manny jumps on.
And see if he jumps in. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
You
do
heard
it.
that, folks.
Yeah.
And I bet you Manny won't listen to this episode. All right.
But there's one more thing.
All right, so just
okay.
everybody knows this is the proof that when I'm being ridiculous during that episode, it's on purpose.
That's
We'll
just
bring
that
it
one
up
time,
later.
though.
Yeah,
Only that one
just
time.
that one
All
time. The rest of the times
is-
I'm always ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that one thing I want to bring to light, since I talked about it earlier, is how I thought Iron Fist was going to start following Gavin.
Yeah.
Is you see it earlier, he could have given that white Luxon to the white anytime he was in back.
Yes.
But he didn't give it to her until
Much
like
later.
much later, and he's
Yeah.
like, and that's when he had his crisis of faith. It's like, here, Gavin made this at the battle at the gate or something,
Yeah.
and she's like, white Luxon, and then he's like left it there. I was like, oh,
We're gonna have a long conversation about white and black.
what if
Luxon
she makes
coming
into a
up
knife
soon.
and just nicks herself a few times? It's like, I'm back, bitch.
How do we know that she didn't? Anyway, we'll talk about that when we get there. But for now, the Blue Bane. So this is our first introduction to the Banes. And the first time that we kind of get a sense as to the fact that there is a real purpose. We kind of got a sense, like, are the colors balanced? And Gavin was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, they're balanced. Okay.
Yeah, shooting.
We go off.
More
But we don't
color
really
out,
know
yeah.
anything about this. But now he's lost blue, and we realize, holy shit, the prism actually has a legitimate job to do.
Yeah.
Or the colors fall out of balance, and everything goes whack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whack, whack.
Well, and you got to think though too when we say balance, like we're talking what the Chromaria thinks is the balance is no color rights. But I mean, as the color Prince is going for, there's going to be a Bane for every single one. So will that balance out too? Like we don't know what that balance necessarily means. It is out of whack right now because the prism is able to correct so many of the colors except for blue.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, once he lost blue, he couldn't correct any of them.
Right.
How does he? Yeah, you're right. He doesn't.
Well, they used to, in the old days, they said that they used to, the Chromaria would make it a law that blue has to draft more, and the opposite would draft less.
well, with blue, in
Or,
this
I mean,
case,
red
blue would draft
less,
less, and
and
red.
No,
would
but
draft
what
draft
Josh
more.
was saying was, once he lost blue, he just couldn't balance anymore.
at all.
But he
Any
never
of the
tried.
colors?
I don't think so
He didn't
because
try
I
yet.
think isn't that basically what the color Prince said at the end? Is the reason that all of the other ones can now come up is because he says
Yeah,
Gavin's dead.
I agree.
So it has to be linked
Yeah.
to the prison's
He's,
ability
as he loses
specifically
that color,
somehow.
that
But-
color can go out of whack.
Yeah.
You go blame, but he tried to balance at the Chromaria.
Yeah.
But he couldn't.
He couldn't.
Yeah. Well, he
he
couldn't
couldn't
balance blue.
No, he couldn't balance anything, I thought.
Because, I mean, he would just have to, in order to balance blue, he would just have to draft a lot of the opposite color.
Yeah.
You would think that, but I think it's deeper tie. Because what they were saying is like the color prince knew too, as he was losing colors, he was able to create the Bane, and he mentioned that.
He didn't create the Bane.
Well, what he
It
did
just
is
created
facilitate it creates itself, but he's there facilitating it, getting the whites there, the color whites.
Well,
but
let's look
you know
into
what I
it. I don't think once he lost blue, I don't
Yeah.
think he could balance
Anything.
the spectrum at all.
But then he lost green, and then the green Bane came. So, my
yeah.
opinion is, as he lost the colors were going out of whack. However, we'll probably
But
get more
he
factual
hasn't
information in the future.
Been able to balance since like the first chapters of the first book.
But the other crazy
But we're finding it may be deeper than him just being able to draft the color. It's like more
Not
like
him-
the
well,
prism
with the-
may have an actual... He may just be a balance.
Yeah.
Just existing, is what I'm saying.
That's
But
possible.
it could... be wrong. I mean, we don't have factual information.
But I think with the large amount of color rights, they don't have a limit on the amount they can draft.
Yeah.
With like regular drafters, they want to not draft as much as they can because they'll die.
They don't want to die, yeah.
But they
Don't
already
care.
broke the Halo. They can draft as much as they want with no fouls.
Oh, dude, that brings up...
Besides
Oh, go ahead.
potentially the insane
Well,
being
if
insane.
they make it past the thing, they're fine.
But no, here's the thing. This is what I wanted to bring up. You guys bring up this awesome concept. The concept, and I thought there was an amazing chapter with the girl who was fighting for Gavin, who was trapped in a tent, and she broke the Halo, passed out, they captured her, they locked her in there. And then later on, we find out more. And I'm realizing that there's a reason historically why they just kill you before you break the white. And I don't think it has to do with, can you make it or can you not? Because what I'm realizing is with the insanity, and we see this a little bit with Big A later, which we'll talk about, but not yet. But the blue is great, is that as you're going insane, you don't feel like you're going insane.
Right.
You don't notice you're going insane. What's happening is the color is taking more and more of a hold over you. You think it's normal. Oh, I would do this more normally. That's what I'm doing.
This
that's
is
what
how
I'm
it
doing.
should be.
But
Because
then
it's order
suddenly,
or it's
you're not.
passion.
It's got you.
Right.
And by that point, you don't think it has you, but it has you. So like what I'm realizing is it may be very well that they are going insane. Some people slower, some people faster. The other thing is it may depend on what if you broke it with multiple colors, like the color prince can actually balance himself and needs
Like,
to.
even
a
if
few
it's
times
the
he almost
opposite
freaked
colors,
out
too.
and another color went in his eyes and it like regulated his personality. So okay, he broke it with 7 colors. Well, we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But we know he has more than one color for sure.
Yeah.
But we don't know if other people helped him build some of the other colors in him or not.
Yeah, I thought
That's
he
what
had
Liv
3
says.
colors, but much.
He's shown 3 colors.
Yeah.
But the
mean-
point being is he might be able to elevate or balance his insanity a little bit with that, but we don't know for sure. So the killing of color whites, it doesn't sound great. It sounds bad. But also, I'm not on the other camp yet where there's no reason to yet, because from what I've seen, going insane is not a process that the insane know they're going. Unless you're really a certain type of individual.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, generally, the only way that you realize you're going insane is if you have, like, bouts of clarity.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
To look back
Right.
on it. Yeah.
Where
Or
you can
to
look back on your
evaluate,
past behavior. It's
self-evaluate.
like, oh, I'm behaving like me again. And then you recognize how
feel-
that version of you was behaving. And then you're like,
was
oh,
not me.
something's going on. You see this, I notice this a lot because there's a lot of Alzheimer's in my family. You notice they don't go insane, but they lose their, memory and like who they are.
Yeah.
And like you'll notice that like 1 second they won't be them, the next second they'll be them, and they'll be like, I'm losing my mind, and they'll like tell you.
Yeah.
Because they remember that version of them that didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, it's a scary thing. So when they're talking about those color whites, I'm like, and when the blue, that chapter with the blue girl, where she's like, she could break out, and she almost committed suicide, and then she didn't, and I was kind of like, oh my god, how is this gonna hurt us later?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm just like, because she's not gonna think she was going insane. She's like, I'm not thinking anything. Maybe I'll just wait. Maybe I can take him out without me. But like, what if she takes longer and longer and longer, and then before you know it,
Right.
I just don't know. I'm not saying the practice is right, by the way. I'm not sure.
I think all of it is still very confusing, how it all works and how it's all linked. I think there's definitely some truth to what the Color Prince is saying, where there probably are people that you can ease into it. But I think one of the reasons that they made it like an absolute rule is probably because I don't think that easing them into it is probably going to end up being 100% effective. And they probably had incidents where people would just get too powerful, out of control. They're absolutely insane, possibly bloodlusty. And, they just made this rule. Let's just end it here. Make it this kind of sacrifice that you make for
everyone else.
country.
But then over time we forget it. And then it's suddenly like, why am I making this sacrifice?
This is the mandatory thing, too.
This is why, in my opinion, there's a lot of danger in lying to the masses for their own good, because you may do it with good intentions, but as soon as somebody finds the lie, now the whole thing looks like a lie, and you can't see the truth of it either. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, it's interesting.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of talk through that one a little bit, because I was just like, dude, I just see, like, I love this world because we're in this world that it seems to have this huge, long history, and we're, like, learning about it, and we get more and more ingrained in the magic system and the history and how it works, and then we find out they don't even really know what half of the shit that they do comes from, because they're that much of an old society.
Like,
they've been doing it
it's
since Lacedonia, or what's his name? Lacedaemonius, and they don't even really know. There's, like, an argument. It's like us arguing about, was Jesus this or that, or this or that? It's like, oh, that's their Lacedaemonius. Like, he's so far ago, like, the best was the depiction, he was depicted as a Parian.
Yeah.
Because he was probably Parian, which is a mirror of Jesus, because the artwork depicts him as having, like, fair skin.
Yeah.
But then they're like, but he was Parian, so he would have darker skin.
Yeah.
So then it's the same kind of mirror, and you're, like, thinking about history and how art's depicted. It's really pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy because, like, he was the first person to invent the glasses, the lenses.
Yeah.
Infrared
and create
infrared technology.
And
it's almost like, is this sci-fi, maybe?
And then by the time this story takes place, they've already lost how to create a ultra.
Certain glasses.
Yeah.
Subred glasses. Yeah.
And
infrared glasses.
Kip has, like, a whole set of them, doesn't he, or something?
Well,
there's two specific ones he said, don't lose those because we don't know how to make them anymore.
Yeah. There's subred and then ultraviolet.
Ultraviolet, yeah.
But the other ones they can make. But there's probably only
7.
10.
Yeah.
Like 10 of those glasses left.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's like the pyramids.
Yeah. So, I think that this is a good spot to take a quick break.
Okay.
I'm thinking.
Actually, really quick, because it kind of has to do with all of that. We can talk about this in the next one, but I'm also really kind of confused. Maybe you guys can add some clarity, or maybe it's supposed to be this confusing. I'm really still confused exactly how the dagger, now a sword, plays into how all of this stuff works.
Now a sword gun?
Because we thought that it was probably what took Gavin's blue, because it lit up blue.
Yeah.
But then it started lighting up green without cutting anybody green, right?
No.
It cut someone green.
It cut someone green.
But it wasn't Gavin.
But it wasn't Gavin. But Gavin just so happened to lose green at the same time.
To lose it.
But at the same time, there's also these mega gods of those same colors that are forming. Yeah. And then once Gavin's gone, I mean, now the freaking thing is huge. It's a sword, gun, fully formed thing.
I want to say it's a fully formed now.
Yeah.
Because it was stuck in Gavin long enough to absorb all the colors.
All the colors?
Because he's... Yeah.
When you took it out, all the rubies or diamonds were lit fully. Before, it was just green and blue.
Well, it was green. It was blue, and then a tiny bit of green, and then later,
that is
after
true,
the god killing, we'll call it.
Was the green.
It was highly green, and then.
That's right. I forgot. Gavin was fully stabbed by it at the end.
Yes.
He was.
Yeah.
Well, what was the first screen?
No,
well,
you're right.
They read the whole book.
What was the first screen that it stabbed?
Yeah. Who's the green?
The first green was the assassin. Kip did not know it was not a real knife.
The shimmer cloak.
Yeah, he stabbed the shimmer cloak, and he pulled it out. He thought he killed the guy.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So by the way, how dense can you be, Kip? How many times do you need to use this knife to figure out it's not killing people?
So I think that's super. I think that's super like interesting. The fact that this dagger potentially has the ability to not kill the prism's powers without ever coming in contact with the prism.
So my thought there is that the prism is clearly linked to the same power that's linked to the knife somehow.
Right.
And
well, it's something with that black Luxon or the white. Which one is it? Black Luxon?
Both. The knife
and
has
white
both
Luxon.
white and black Luxon.
And somehow Andros seems to be the only person alive that knows exactly how this thing works.
And previous to this, Gavin.
No, he's the only person alive who talks about it, who knows what it's worth.
Yeah.
Janice Boris,
she
knew, but also they said, Andros even said, the Chromaria used to be in possession of that.
The white. That was her
white
knife.
knows. We don't know what she knows about it.
And we still don't know how Kip's mom got it.
She stole it from the king.
She slept with Gavin.
No, Gavin gave it
Gavin
to her.
left it, or she took it, or she stole it, or
Gavin
gave
it to her.
Well, he laughed and he said that whore, and Gavin.
I think she stole it.
I mean, Days and Gavin said, "Oh, he said that whore, not like really that whore, but that whore like as in you ruined my plans."
Yeah.
I
And
think
so
she
maybe
stole
she
it.
stole
I
it.
think what happened is she slept with him, and she's like ready to go, and she's like, whatever could get me a lot of money. This looks like it's worth it. She stole it, and she ran away, which is hilarious.
We have a lot to learn.
Yeah, there's a lot we don't know.
But there's clearly something with that. And also, the thing that's crazy is we don't know, and we just got, the guy who did know how you make prisms got killed.
Yeah.
So now Dazen doesn't, we don't know how you make a prism.
Oh.
No.
Is it really a born power?
Yeah.
Is it both? Can you make one and be born?
yeah,
Is
you don't
that
think
why
it's-
there was two?
I-
Because
I-
Andros Cal decided to make his eldest son one, and then Dazen became one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we don't know any of this shit.
I almost feel like the dagger could potentially be like an item that was created to like take the power and pass it on again. I wonder if you
Yeah.
could make prisms with
Because
the
you
dagger.
think
Give
that-
the
because
colors
yeah.
back.
otherwise the 7, 14, 21 year is just like, how is that so convenient?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they were just
Someone-
making
it just
that.
like,
That's
this
why
is the
he's
time.
lasting so long, because nobody could
Have
use
the
the dagger.
yeah, there's
But
something that we had
there's
thought
that.
before. I'm glad you got
But-
it. But I don't know. We don't know that yet.
There was times in the history when there was no prism, and they had to just tell people, don't draft blue,
Oh,
draft
yeah.
more red.
And
But
there's
that could
only
be because there
supposed to
wasn't a
be one per-
polychrome strong enough to do it.
Well, they say Janice Borg did say that drafting's a power. There's more powers than that though. The prism is a different power.
Yeah.
The mirror is what I am.
Yeah.
There's other powers.
You got the Seer.
The seer. There's other powers, and so maybe you are waiting. They say once a generation, drafting's
Yeah.
common. She's like, oh, drafting's common, whatever. But prisms might not be very common.
Yeah.
Mirrors might not be very common. Maybe just once a generation.
And
Yeah.
you got the Lightbringer. Who knows?
No.
Question
Whatever
mark.
that is.
How awesome was that scene where Gavin comes back and he's like, "Did you really think you were the Lightbringer, Kip?" And he was like, "Oh, I kind of, for a second, I did." And he just like shuts him down. On
Yeah.
that.
That's the second time Kip's been like lured into saying that he's great, and then the person he's talking to is like,
Just like, no.
nope.
Remember the
The
beginning?
very first scene or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, with the green drafter. Or the green drafter.
Do you
It's
think
like-
you're special? Do you
He's
feel
like,
like you can
yes,
do this?
I do.
I do sometimes.
He's like,
it's because you're
yes,
delusional.
And he turns into a green golem and goes and kills a bunch of people.
I think with that, guys, we'll take a quick break
do it.
before we start episode 2.
Part 2.
Part 2. Yeah.
Boom.
Cheers, folks.
Cheers.
And the light goes out. All right. Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Lit Literature. If you liked us, please check out our social media at Lit Literature 1 at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't hesitate to join in on the conversation. We appreciate the conversation, the questions, book recommendations, anything of that sort. Join in right on the social media websites. And don't forget to check us out at our website, litliterature.com, and our upcoming projects, though there aren't many now besides Lit Literature, you can find at lyket.net, Lyket. We do have a Patreon account, but if you truly want to support us, please like and share. Cheers.